Well, here's what you've been waiting for. Thanks for your patience getting through all those params. I can't say I'm going to make it, I'm going to try and make it more exciting with the maths, but it's maths. So let's take a look in here, and I've got a little script that I basically brought in from the math menu, everything through construct domain down to remap numbers. I even threw in the plugin that I downloaded from Parametric House, I believe it is, called Remap, which is a cluster of how to use the remapping tools. So what I have here is all of the nodes I want to get into, and I have them referenced. So construct domain is right here. That's basically what I did. I used the deconstruct domain, which basically takes it back apart and finds the start and end. And why I did that, well, let's just go through it this way, just for fun. I made a domain box because there's a box that depends on domains, so brought it in there and made a box. I found the centroid of that. I have 2 points. As I continue through, I used a distance to use the Remap Plus tool. The Remap Plus tool is a cluster, and it basically has a bounds and domain in it with the Remap tool. So that's fairly simple. And boy, I'm talking loud. So the Remap tool comes back here. The bounds is down here. I've used it a couple times because I showed how to use the Remap tool, but I also wanted to show how to use the Remap Plus, but the Remap tool. So it's basically the same thing. You get the Remap tool, and if you download the plugin if you want it, it doesn't, I don't think it's on Food for, it probably is on, yeah, it's on Food for Rhino. Basically, I constructed 2 more points out of it and built some cool arcs. I was a little knowledgeable of exploding trees, and even though I didn't use the divide domain, I thought it might be interesting to throw in. If you have a domain, you can divide it into segments and have a look at what that data might provide for you. And I thought possibly those domains going from that to that would be very similar to going to point on curve, whether I reparameterize the arc or not. So I thought that tool is getting very close to what I was doing with exploding the tree and the points on curve and sliding that back and forth and changing the geometry. And as we move through here, I mean, maybe I should be doing that. I mean, I've got the ability to transform and move this the entire time with the parameters of what this model does. It's a fun little toy. I've got it color-coded to some previews. I'm just showing you how to make it funky and fat and have a lot of parametric control over top of what you're doing. Let's continue. I followed a few more arcs, found start and end, built a line, and then once again found a spot on that I could start doing some cool geometries with. And you see what I'm doing here. Might not make too much sense. I went into a gene pool and thought I'd do an evaluate curve at 3 points, which I can randomly jostle. And as I do that, you'll see it has a major effect on this geometry. I used my list item to get the 1, 2, 3 elements of that gene pool out of it and put it into 3 new domain boxes. And in doing so, I thought I'd do a polar array of that, because why not? Do a polar array, you can change the actual, not only the rotation of 2 to 0 to 2 pi, but in the same effect that affects the radius of the center object. So as you creep around it, this thing kind of explodes up. And I think this is a pretty cool, fun toy. Hopefully people stuck around and watched the tutorial. And if you're getting into the maths and you want to do this, so I'm basically choosing here the scaling of that around it. And I also have a, what did I do here? Oh, to cap the ends. Like if I didn't want that cap end, I could just slide over and leave it open or flat, but I like the round ends. So I thought I'd throw in a little, what are those things called again? Value list while I was at it. There's some mirroring, and then there's this final, you know, parametrically controlling the colors, which are very nice from gradient tools. So very cool little script. I think it's a fun little toy. Hopefully people take an interest in it. I don't know why you'd ever want to make something like this. You probably have to connect these top pieces from it. But it's enough inspiration for my kids and myself. And there you go. You've got a nice render and pretty cool little script to learn a little bit about maths. So try and get through it. The 2 things I didn't use were find domain. I could have taken the domains and had a number. I have yet to kind of wrap my head, find the first domain that contains a specified value. So that's kind of cool if I needed that information. And then right here, the includes is the same type of thing. Test the numeric value to see if it's included in the domain. So kind of back and forth, numbers domain, domain to numbers. And I could find a way like this one to squeeze it in here, but because it's unresolved and I'm not using it, I left it as yellow. And those 2 I haven't found a way in yet. But I'm pretty confident in going through the maths. That we'll jump into construct 2 domains, and that'll make it a little more complex. I've never used a bounds 2D. I've used a divide 2 domain all the time with the ISO trim. So there's some basic scripts. Hopefully you'll find my scripts playful and glorious, and you'll have fun with them. And I'll put them up on GitHub, and there could be some fun little toys to get you working and modifying the script. Thanks very much for watching. Nice short 5-minute video.